Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there. It's cold out there every day, every year. Happy Groundhog Day, everybody.
Wow. Alexa, play Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town.
Scratch that. Play Sonny and Cher. Play the Pennsylvania polka. We're back. Uncle Kiwi.
Mm-hmm. It's Groundhog Day. Let's just, before people start making their plans. This is a one-off this year, not a 7-off.
Yep.
But we're back.
And I have some great news because America's favorite Groundhog podcaster has seen his shadow and is back. It's Eric Stein.
Gentlemen, when I said last year I would sign up to meet you every February 2nd at Gobbler's Knob, I meant it. This is a forever blood pack, guys.
This is forever blood pack. Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier today. Should we agree today that every February 2nd forever we get back together for this?
Eric, do you have any hesitation there?
Once a year, come on.
Once a year, it's such a
You
small
can
ask.
do that. This could
Don't
be
be a
our
diva, Eric.
thing.
Of course. Are you kidding me? I'd gobble a knob with you
year.
guys any day, let alone February
Beautiful.
2nd every year.
Did we talk about Gobbler's Knob? Is that real? Is
think
it
it
very
came up.
suggestive?
This whole podcast is going to be, did we talk about this
Did we
last
talk
year?
about
I think.
this?
We should have like split up and
I didn't
listened
want
to
to
the 7
Google
from last year.
Gobbler's Knob.
No, not on a work
Definitely
computer.
not.
Yeah. I feel like I have a lot of questions. I don't know if the things came up, but maybe I'm different a year later.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
was
a lot of
thinking
thoughts.
the whole time. I had these like great epiphanies. We must talk about this. And I was like, but I must have had this epiphany last year. But I really don't know. And the whole thing left me.
Maybe.
The biggest question I have is, do I have brain damage? Or did I just not particularly care when we were doing this exercise last year? Because if you ask me prior to watching, I gave myself a self-quiz before I turned it on this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And tried to like outline what I remembered. And the only things I could really remember were the cop and Larry and a few other like very broad stroke things.
Who's Larry? Larry, Chris Elliott.
You see? And it left me wondering, do I need to see a neurologist? Because we couldn't remember Andy McDowell's name famously a few weeks ago when
it came up in the movie. I was like, Rita? Really? Her name was Rita?
Yeah, you messaged just a few months ago and were like, do you remember Andy McDowell's character's name from the movie? And I don't think any of the three of us did. I had a guess. I also gave myself a small self-quiz for the movie. My guess was Wendy, that her name was Wendy, so I was wrong.
Yeah. Did we do a Groundhog Day Sporkle quiz last year?
I'm not sure. Why, is there one?
Probably. Should we do it now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Groundhog Day Sporkle quiz. Okay. All right, let's see. We'll save that. Let's do. We got too much to get to. Maybe later on, if we hit a lull, we've got a Groundhog Day Sporkle quiz in the hopper. But yeah, wow. It all came back. Really, the music I feel like really brought me back.
Was it the Pennsylvania polka?
Pennsylvania polka, the stupid Weatherman song, the horrible opening credits. It all came back to me very quickly.
The first thing that came back to me,
Yeah.
before we get too sidetracked, was the virus that the link that Uncle Kiwi sent me gave my computer. First of all, I had to click off several, let's call them unsavory pop-ups that were disrupting my viewing pleasure.
Yeah, not the only Gobbler's Knob on your TV screen.
And then, still now, several hours later, I'm getting these pop-ups in the corner of my screen. One said, someone has connected to your computer, Russia. And then it said, your PC is at risk. Someone is downloading your files. Is this you? It's not me. It's Russia.
You're not downloading your file?
And actually shut down the whole thing. I closed my browser. I did a whole restart. Still there. So that's the main thing that's now sticking with me as it relates to this movie.
This podcast is sponsored by AVG. Please use AVG and save your computer.
Did you set up why you think you might have these viruses?
It was just the link in which I chose to view the movie.
The link I sent
was
him
an
last year.
unsanctioned link, as provided by. I'll give you one guess. It's not you, Rob.
Akiva, how was your viewing?
Well, I mean, I no viruses, so that was a positive thing. I have, I think, more notes this episode than I did all 7 combined last year.
Yep.
But a lot of them are like, ooh, like this is such a good point. I wonder if we discussed this 3 times last year. I really don't remember.
Well, try one.
Okay. You know, the movie starts and he's like, Phil. First of all, we talked about how his name is Phil, right? And the Groundhog is Punxsutawney Phil.
I think that probably came up. Yeah.
I forgot about it, but I'm sure it came up. Like that's a basic thing I forgot. He's like, you know, he's doing the weather. The one time we see him do the weather at like his job, and he's like, Los Angeles. First of all, why is a local Pennsylvania station giving you the weather in like LA in the Pacific Northwest?
I think they do that. Like they look at like the national map. Like I don't think he was
On
giving
local
like the
news.
I think they'll mention like, there's like a, you know, there's you always get like a weatherman in front of like that giant map with like an H here and an L.
You don't think
here.
that's national usually? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Watch
No, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone homework. Watch the news. And then he's like, all right, LA, gang wars and expensive real estate. Are we supposed to get political commentary every day from our weathermen? Like this is it is really.
I mean, I don't think that's political. That was what was happening. It's the 90s, baby.
Like he's doing bits though. Like I feel like
I mean, OJ just happened.
It's true. It is true. They were living in the OJ era. I did count. I think there were 7 times during the movie he would have been fired in 2024 for sexual harassment.
Oh, sure. But, you know, if he's living the same day over and over again, then, you know, he's unfired.
I guess that's true. Only once. Yeah, you get unfired every morning.
I had a lot of questions about the ramifications of living every day over and over again. You know, for example, I guess if you have, you know, thousands of days, you just sort of try everything. But what net benefit does he get from robbing the bank? He can't spend all that money, you know, by the time he figures out how to even hide it or deposit it, you know, it's too late. The next day is
thrill. Just for, you know, trying to find a higher high every single day.
One of the main takeaways I had overall was, and it piggybacks off of something you guys just discussed in the last episode, he seems to do extraordinarily well with women. And it seems that he does not have a very good personality. Under any circumstances. So I had to assume that the reason he does well is because he's 6'2". But your listeners seem to think that personality is actually more important than height.
That's why he needed $2 million also.
But it's a local weatherman. It's a very sordid tale his dating throughout this movie.
Yeah. How many times do you think he slept with Nancy Taylor? Do you think it was just like a one-night stand with her, or do you think that he slept with Nancy Taylor hundreds of times?
That's a good question. Do you think he just repeated the same day to sleep with her a bunch of times, but we didn't see it?
I think he probably did hundreds of times, although there's so many interesting things about Nancy that I picked up on this time. She says, what is this? Some kind of one-night stand? And it's like, that is literally what this is. Yes. But then she accepts his proposal. And then later, when he's dressed up at the movie theater with this other woman that we never seen before and never seen again, he runs into her and says, that's my old fiance.
Yeah.
Which is possibly the funniest line in the movie. But then even stranger is, why is she with Larry later in the movie?
Well, Larry, it seems like, is trying to seduce her and get her to go into the van with him, which is like comes across as very pervy. It's not like that she has
no way to ask someone
equipment.
I mean, he says, do you want to see the inside of my van? Like, there's no way for that to not come across pervy.
But they're not reliving the day over and over again. So that seems to imply that every single time that Phil relives this day, Larry somehow later in the day is hitting on her, but Phil is with her.
Yeah. It is also possible that because that Phil does such a good job with the newscast that he becomes like the toast of the town over the course. So he's sort of like in proximity to the coolest guy in the entire city. So maybe some of that rubs off on Larry. He's sort of like in the entourage of the coolest guy in town.
I started having a lot of questions about what is really happening in this movie. Okay. So he is reliving this day,
Yeah.
right? But the others, they're not. But they're not aging, neither in Phil's dimension or a parallel dimension that we know of. So are they all dead? Are they alive? Is this only happening in Phil's consciousness? Like, what exactly is happening to the other people? But then there's all these strange continuity things where he and this is why I thought of this, because like you said, he's becoming more recognizable, and they're saying there's something so familiar about this, and he's a real hit, you know, at the date auction. But theoretically, it's all just one day. So how big of a star can he have become that day? How familiar could it possibly be? How come the people in the parking lot now recognize him? So I started wondering, like, do I even understand the movie?
I think you get it. I just think he's just the toast of the town. He's basically, you know, having like this all-time MVP day where he starts in the morning, delivers the perfect newscast. He's saving kids from falling out of trees. He's saving the mayor from choking to death. He's doing all these amazing things, playing the piano, making ice sculptures. Everybody's talking about this guy. Ironically, Eric, I was thinking about this. The final day, he barely pays attention to Rita. He doesn't have like one conversation with her until she shows up at the party. There's all these days. He puts his undivided attention into her. He figures out her every whim. What does she want? He obsesses about how do I give her everything. The one day he doesn't, he completely ignores her. That's the day she falls for him.
It's good advice.
Yeah, it's like a professional negging. It's pretty interesting. But, you know, I'm just thinking about all of these things. They all collapse onto one day, right? Like when she slaps him the day, says, that's for making me care about you. How much could she have possibly cared about him from those 6 hours they went to the candy store? You know, what? It's just things are on a very accelerated timeline on these one-off days, it seems.
Yeah. Look, it's not the length of the day. It's the deepness of the connection.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I kind of did what he's doing back when I was on the dating apps. Like, I feel like I was trying to pick up facts and like remember them and keep track of them for conversation. You know, I give him kudos for that.
Yeah. He's doing a great job, you know? Just, I wish we could have seen some of these dates that like once he like realizes, okay, I've made the one mistake. What does he do after that? Does he stick it out?
Yeah, right. Does he retry?
Like, toast to world peace. All right. It's like, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, or do you think he just like
learns more stuff, or is he like, all right, I'm gonna go in early for the night? It's a good question.
What do you think, Akiva?
I think it probably makes more sense because like now she's turned off by the thing he said, so it probably makes more sense to end that day, because then the information you're going to get after might not be valid. But
could you try some new material where it's like, okay, I'm going to try some stuff tonight. Okay,
it's a good question.
Yeah,
I can't believe we didn't come up with any of this stuff last year. We already have new ideas.
I actually agree though, Rob. I mean, why not workshop some new things? He spends so much time trying to perfect these specific tactics. But, you know, if it's taking him hundreds of days to perfect it, maybe just on like day 50, just go in with a totally different approach. Forget the drink, forget the toast, just try something new.
Yeah, it could work.
Yeah, do maybe something for sympathy, like my parents abandoned me when I was 2. Like, you know, try different characters out. I honestly, like watching the movie, having Rita, like him trying to woo Rita, at a certain point, I don't know if you should be wooing Rita. I feel like you should be going after Nancy or someone else in the town. Rita's like very particular about weird things. I don't know. Like I like it. Yes, he's learning and he's like making mistakes and he fixes them the next day. But like he proposes a toast and then she says, "I only drink to world peace." It's really like a cringe thing to say, right? Like are you at a wedding, Rita? And it's like, "To the happy couple." And Rita's like, "No, sorry, I only drink to world peace."
I think she says, "I usually drink to world peace."
No, I think only.
She's
I think only. Yep.
Only drink to world peace.
Another thing,
like
and I know
drink
we talked about this last time for sure, but I was very put off by her condescending poem when the man is just trying to enjoy a nice meal at the diner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that cracked me up too. And she's like, "The wretch."
I don't think there's like a down bad level. Like if you went to jail for 20 years, got out, and there was like one woman left in the world, I don't think there's a down bad level where I would spend months of my Groundhog Day learning 19th century French poetry just to impress a woman.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she does say, I always drink to world peace. But but you said only. She said, "I always drink to world
Even
peace."
worse. Okay.
But I thought of this also this morning that I feel like that Phil ended up just getting like obsessed with Rita. Like I think had Rita like given into his advances earlier on, he would have just gotten over her too. I think it would have been like a Nancy Taylor thing. But because she never goes with him ever, that he makes it like this impossible mission that he's going to dedicate some 34 years of repeating the same day over and over again to accomplish, that she became like his Everest.
Is it the climb or is it like her in particular? Like, is he just like
I
trying?
think it's the climb.
You think it's okay? So it's the journey.
I think they break up 2 days later.
You don't think they live happily ever after, him and Rita? There is like an
how will-
awkward scene at the end
Mhm.
where, like at the very end of the movie, he says, "I love you," and she says, "I think I'm happy too." Now, if you said "I love you" to like a woman you were dating, and that's how she responded, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, she only loves him because that he has demonstrated that he knows everything about these people in the town. He cares about them. What happens when they get back to Pittsburgh and it's back to all strangers again? Does Phil just have this genuine love of a fellow man, that he is this charitable, different person back when he goes back to I mean, does he quit his job? What does he do after this? Is he a concert pianist now from here on out?
That is funny. Maybe he's like the world's greatest pianist. But also, like, remember, he's like 1,000 years old, right? Like, he's lived such a long life. Maybe not his body, but like he's been through it already. He's probably like washed up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I don't think he's
also
washed
once
up.
you kind of hit the perfect day, are you going to keep up that level of effort, right? Every single day thereafter, it's going to now go for the perfect.
That's what
weather,
happened to Geno
description.
Smith. That he had like that one perfect passer game, and then said like, "Hey, I'm it. That's it for the Jets."
They tried to write Phil off, but he did not write back. Yeah, I feel like it's all downhill. If you lived Groundhog Day and you were there, we discussed at length last year. I forget how many days it was, but it was many, many, many years, right?
I think they say 34 years.
Yeah, like the rest of your life is a huge bummer after this, right? Like it's gonna be like like everything in your life will be viewed through the prism as like before the Groundhog Day and after the Groundhog Day. Like everything else is you're just a normal person now. So, and he had this experience that no one will ever believe, right?
Right. I think it makes him basic. I think it ruins his life for sure. Although it's now gone on for much longer than it should have. So I guess it could be considered a net benefit. But he does have sort of like some interesting reactions along the way. At some point, he no longer seems to be trying to get out of it. I guess you just accept your fate at some point.
Yeah.
But it's only day 3 when he goes to jail and then he wakes up and he's like, oh, I can keep like messing around with this or whatever. And he seems like pretty content to be there right away. And I wonder, at what point did he turn towards helpfulness? And was that coming from a genuine place, or was it, a way out? Or at that point, he just figured he's stuck for eternity?
Yeah, I don't think he knew the way out. I think he just felt like, okay, well, like maybe I can just be like he has that one night with Rita, and then that really after that he sort of like gets up the next morning and then changes everything. I think that one day starts with him telling her that he's a god, and maybe not a god or the god, but he's at least a god, which then leads to her like coming back to his hotel with him. And then the next day he wakes up and like the switch has been flipped where now he's going to try to like rehabilitate Pop and do like all these different things where he's trying to be the best person he can be. I don't know if it's necessarily like I think I can win Rita by doing this or get out of this situation, but like there's definitely one point when the switch gets turned on for him.
Don't get me going about Pop again. That I do remember discussing, and I didn't like it. Again, calling him father and calling him Pop. But one of the things I thought was really weird, it seemed like several scenes must have been cut from this movie, and there's just like several non sequiturs. But he says, "Father, you look cold. Let's get you somewhere warm." Jump cut. 3 seconds later, the man is dead. What happened? He was just cold 10 seconds ago.
Why does he keep calling him dad? I know we got into this, but like it really doesn't make.
Well, he
any more
calls the
sense.
lady in the Airbnb or the bread and breakfast. He calls her mom, right?
We really need to learn more about his relationship with his parents because I feel like maybe he just didn't have
It
one.
never
Maybe my
came
story's
up
true.
in all
I
these
think those
days.
are his parents. I know we discussed this last year, but I think the man on the street, that's why he always takes this assignment. And maybe that's why he's stuck there. He had to mend his relationship with his parents.
Yeah.
But
Now-
also, they say that the B&B, he's getting to stay at a nice place. That's
Yeah,
the great
that's the
producing
good
that he's
place,
doing.
yeah.
So then why is it that mom tells him that, oh no, I wouldn't expect there to be hot water today.
Yeah. I don't
Doesn't sound
know.
very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Did we talk about this last year? Does anything like this happen on February 2nd in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania? Like, is there an event that anything resembles what happens in the film? Rita tells him, "Oh, look at these people, Phil. They've been up dancing and drinking all night." Does this happen
I
on
don't know, should we look-
February 1st? Are there people who camp out and stay up all night partying and dancing, waiting for the groundhog in the morning?
So I think this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, it's sort of like the snake eating its own tail. I think that it didn't used to happen, but now it does. So I think that they sort of created it, and now it has become actualized.
Send
That's
us
my guess.
pictures from. Okay, this podcast is dropping. Groundhog. We have to record this before for you to have it Groundhog Day morning. We have to record it before Groundhog Day. But send us pictures of the festivities on Instagram.
I checked on Google Maps. It's only 5 hours from me.
Yeah.
How do you think that will go? Should I ask my wife if late Thursday, after the 10 p.m. news, I can take off and go for a ride to Punxsutawney to check it out?
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when are we going to do we in the 5-year anniversary? Do we do this live from Punxsutawney?
Live from Punxsutawney, yeah, in 2028.
You have
Yeah,
been considering locations for a summer live show.
So
Although I
I'm on
guess it's summer, it's out of season.
Punxsutawney.com. It looks like that they have like on the header of the website says like shows like a crowd of like thousands and thousands of people. Like it's a Taylor Swift concert.
What do you think they're selling? Like what is the food of choice at this event? Because you know, you would think it looks sort of fall like, you know, so I'm first thinking like apple cider and donuts, but it is actually February.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think is like groundhog stew or something? You know, what is
Feels
being
very
served there?
German, this whole festival. I feel like
Mhm.
there's like bratwursts or something.
Oh.
Yeah, well, they do. Blood sausage comes up very early on in the film, where Rita talks about how great Groundhog's Day is, and Phil says people are stupid. People like blood sausage. Did we talk about blood sausage at all last
I
year?
think we said we didn't know what it was, but I Googled it this year, and I don't think I had ever searched it before because it's literally like sausage with blood in it. I don't think I was familiar with that.
Yeah. Okay. Eric, would you try a blood sausage?
I don't have any desire to. It depends on the circumstance, I suppose.
Yeah. Here's the schedule of events in Punxsutawney this week. The Inner Circle. I'm not sure what that is. Sounds a little sketchy.
That's probably like the main guys in the top hats getting together and doing
yes.
their
The Inner
stuff.
Circle is pleased to announce the Groundhog Club hosted events for Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2024. Gobbler's Knob Got Talent at 1 p.m. This is an open judge talent
That we gotta
show.
go. We gotta go to Gobbler's Knob Got Talent.
Who's
Eric? You can't wait till 2028.
Win
You gotta go this year.
$500.
I know exactly what the winning act is going to do.
Oh, and then look at this. At 8:30 p.m., Dueling Pianos begins at 9 p.m.
This
Starring
honestly
Phil as one of the pianists.
sounds like it rocks.
Yeah. Okay. But they don't have a showing of the movie, though?
I feel like they don't embrace the movie that much.
Mm-hmm. Tickets are sold out for Groundhog Day this year. They call it Groundhog Day.
What do you mean they're sold out? You can't come to Punxsutawney?
Yeah, I agree. What does that mean? To the
or maybe
day?
like the private parties. The VIP
I guess
parties.
I guess it's the Groundhog Club. I don't know if it's like this is like the best place to watch the Groundhog.
That's probably where they have the auction for the
elitist.
fellas. Where
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want with them.
Wow. Daily activities in the park, food trucks. I guess this is like a big thing.
Sounds like it's cool.
Yeah.
Go.
Groundhog's Day in the park. Wow. 165 people are going. 619 people are interested. I don't know. Facebook feels that they're giving me opportunities to invite people. The 3 people they're offering for me to invite are Gabby Pascuzzi, Jenna Maraska, and Christopher Borsilieri. So I guess those are people that probably have Pennsylvania in their Facebook bio.
So
I'd send an invite and see how the response is. Jenna's like, Rob, it's been some time. It's a strange request, but I'll see you there.
Yeah. Okay. Larry's Barbecue is a food vendor. I don't think it's based on the guy from the movie. Here's something that I'd love to talk a little bit about. Did we discuss why does this happen to Phil? Of all the people in the world, why him? Why now? Why today?
It's a great question. Imagine that you're like a godlike figure, right? And they're like, all right, I need to give somebody I'm going to give someone this test. And it's someone like who's deeply flawed. And maybe it's Phil who like is a terrible person with a lot of
he's
potential.
not a monster. He's not a murderer.
Maybe a monster would be irredeemable, right? Maybe this is someone who's like without committing crimes is the worst person, you know? Like the worst normal person on earth. But he has some potential.
I don't think he's the worst normal person.
Do you think everybody's going through like a Groundhog Day in an alternative universe, maybe? Like maybe Rita also has her Groundhog Day. We just don't see it.
I think that one of the original drafts, and I did do a deep dive into the Wikipedia today also, but back that, if you recall the creative wars that were going on in the making of Groundhog Day, in the original script, I think it ended with Rita stuck in her own time loop, which might have been great for setting up the sequel.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
What does that consist of? What does she need to learn? How to toast better?
How to be more flexible with different things. But yeah, I just like, I'm so curious about, well, you know, why Phil? Why now?
I had the exact same question when I was going back through it, because in many regards, this actually provides great meaning to his life. And now he's done this thing that nobody else has ever done before. So this actually makes him quite a significant figure in this universe, the most significant. So choosing someone who is like one of the bigger assholes you'll ever meet seems in a way like we're rewarding them So that does not
This
seem
was a
to be the
great gift.
criteria, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there seems to be also mixed feelings throughout the film about whether or not a local weatherman is a good position or a bad position.
Mhm.
So, you know, I don't know if has that much esteem overall. It's unclear based on the response to him. So I'm just trying to talk this through. I know last year we speculated that it might be because he gets hit in the head when he makes the phone call at the phone booth.
Oh.
That he triggered the alternate universe somehow.
Yeah, maybe that could be it. So was this real? Did he die?
I think that that's one of the best possible explanations.
Yeah.
Here.
No, I like that the best.
Because if I was alive, I don't think I'd start taking piano lessons if I had hundreds of days left. I don't think I'd start obsessively stalking my coworker who I've only known for 3 days. So maybe he's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Akiva?
Well, he does die multiple times in the movie. Is he dead? Well, then would we see the day after if he's dead? I don't think we'd see the day after. The fact that we get to October 3rd hurts that theory. It is interesting.
Could he be in like a coma or a purgatory state?
And then it's when he's gonna leave the Airbnb, then he's moving on. He's going into the light.
It's
pretty good.
Like we said last year, I think we've put more thought into this movie at this point than the people who physically made it.
100%. This was not intended to be consumed 8 times. I will tell you that much. There is so many continuity problems in this movie.
Speaking of 8 times, okay. I don't think we talked about this last year. This is the poster for Groundhog Day. Bill Murray is seemingly like holding up a certain number of fingers, like he's one of the Van Buren boys. What does this mean? Is he actually holding up 10 fingers? Do the fingers mean got a 5 and 3? 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 is Groundhog's Day. But what's going on here? That's not even the alarm clock.
I never noticed this. This is really like a secret gang sign. Or maybe he's saying goodbye. He's like holding up his hand, 5 fingers, like waving, like I'm leaving this earth and going to Groundhog Day. Goodbye to his normal life.
Yeah. So is he trying to get out of the clock? Is that what's going on here? Is he trapped in the clock?
Oh, like a
if
mine.
So, this is a horrific Photoshop job. I know it's 1993.
They both look also a solid 5 to 10 years younger than they do in the film.
Yeah, they may have taken that picture before the movie started.
They had the thought of an idea that this might be a movie one day, and they're like, let's just take the photos just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he's inside the clock. And but then what's her look? I don't know. She's like, can you believe this guy? He's in the clock? What?
What is the overall message of this movie? That's something I was trying to. Where are we going with this? Is it that with 10,000 days of practice, you can become a better person? Is that supposed to be my takeaway? Is it that Rita is glass half full, Phil is glass half empty?
Yeah. So, yeah, going back to them from last year, I did take a lot of meaning away from this film. And my meaning, what I take away from it and why it holds a special place in my heart is that I feel like that the lesson of the movie is that with enough time, with enough repetition, with incremental gain, you can become a master at anything. And so that Bill Murray is just that he realizes that I can accomplish anything here. I just need to work at it every single day and not give up.
That's
a beautiful message.
I feel like, Rob, you're sort of living proof of that, as you have incrementally, through the years built your empire. But I feel like I'm living proof that that's a lie. I've been at some things for a long time with seemingly no gain, possibly all just getting worse, actually. I guess you're the tiebreaker. What do you think, Kiwi?
I mean, it's a beautiful idea, Rob. I think like we're ascribing meaning to something that maybe wasn't meant to have meaning, but I do like that message that like if you had infinite time, the only thing we don't have as human beings, right, that we're limited on is time. Everything else is possible. So,
if we
this
watch
person,
this movie enough times, it will make sense. Maybe.
yeah, that's what it is. I think we haven't watched it enough. I agree.
I think they should have put a clock on the screen in the movie. I think that would have helped to show the passage of time. Except in my research, I think that they didn't know how much time it was. It's now been sort of like commonly determined to be somewhere in the mid 30 years. But he had also at one point answered like a few months. He had answered like 10,000 years. So I think that they just didn't really think through the logic and didn't want to have to answer to that. But I would have liked to see like, 400 years later on the screen or or 60 days later.
Day 11,600.
Yeah, they should have posted the
montage.
days. I agree. I think that was a miss.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good. Should they remake Groundhog's Day?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
it should be made. There should be a new Groundhog's Day with a new person stuck in a day every year on Groundhog Day. There should be a new one every single year.
So you think Groundhog Day should be like
Serious.
basically you want to see like an American Horror Story Groundhog Day?
Yeah, like it should be all right. We've got Ao Idaberry is like stuck in Groundhog Day next year, and it's like she's stuck in like trying to make it in Hollywood, not playing herself. And then like the next year, it's a new person. Every year, it's a person in a different. It's not always someone in Punxsutawney, but a new person stuck in Groundhog Day every year.
Eric, are you in on the Groundhog Day anthology series?
Yeah, I think that's pretty inspired, actually. I like that. So we can get to see different loops, different stars, different temperaments of the people. They handle it differently. I think that that's great because I think you can't chase the classics. So you certainly don't want to do a shot-for-shot remake of this. You certainly don't want to do something that's going to feel like a copy of a copy. But I like it. It takes the spirit of the film and steers it in a new direction. I think this might be your path to generational wealth. Finally.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, Eric, all of my ideas that could lead us to generational wealth are for products that we do not own or have any access to.
Yeah.
Really what we need you to do in this next year is to infiltrate Hollywood, Eric, okay?
Yeah.
And really like find the guy who owns the Groundhog Day IP, tell him about this podcast, and then like we'll do business with him.
But they're not even doing anything with it. Like
that's why we need it.
The 30-year anniversary, and it should have been like Netflix should have acquired it. They could have put it on the front page.
Yeah, that's why I think it's ripe for us stealing it, basically.
Yeah, no streamer had it as like being like put it on the front page of one of these sites. People will watch it on Groundhog's Day.
This is one
of
the
no other
50
reason
best
than
comedies
Eric
of all
can't get more
time.
viruses.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot about the is Ned the devil theory. That was a good one. Ned
That
Ryerson
actually is
the
a
devil.
decent one because he does, by trying to sell him the life insurance and saying, it doesn't matter, it all comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
He does seem to have some advanced knowledge that this might be happening.
Yeah. And he knows that first step is a doozy also. So Ned Ryerson, Needle Nose Ned, he claimed that he did the whistling belly button trick at the talent show. Is that real? What is a whistling belly button?
Is that Gobbler's Knob Has Talent that we're going to go to? That's where he did it.
That's the grand finale.
Can anybody actually have a whistling belly button?
I mean, I famously have a crooked belly button, but it doesn't make any noise.
Yeah, you can't pass air through it. But that would be a great talent.
Should we put that on the wheel, like funny belly button tricks?
Look, if people have them, I mean, I think it's probably we don't put it on the wheel until we hear it. There's at least
I need at least 5 listeners with weird belly buttons.
So why is he needle nose Ned? Does he has a pointy nose? It's not like a reference to the pliers.
It's never a good sign if you're in high school and your nickname is Needle Nose, though. I feel like that's very Archie comics, right? For somebody to be called the Needle Nose. I feel like Archie and Jughead got called that a lot.
Yeah. Is Phil local? That Ned Ryerson was able to ID him from high school?
I think that's believable.
Does Phil live in Punxsutawney, you're saying, or is he just visiting?
I think he's probably from the Pittsburgh area, right?
He's in a different part of town, though. He's not in the near the stage or the Groundhog. Maybe he lives there. He sells life insurance in Punxsutawney.
Yeah. Did we ever check in to see what the Groundhog predicted last year?
I think it always predicts 6 more weeks.
Yeah. Did the Groundhog Days? Okay. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow in 2023, forecasting it was a long, cold winter.
And was he right? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't think anybody fact checks him.
Very few people have, less accountability than Punxsutawney Phil, to be honest.
But
yeah,
that prediction.
That was Nate Silver, and he got it wrong. People would be dragging him.
Mm-hmm.
Is there even a way to get it wrong, though? He's never saying like it will be 6 weeks beyond the date. He is just saying what is already prescribed to happen is happening. So in the event he said it's going to end 6 weeks early. Okay, now he's going on a limb. But to say 6 more weeks of winter, which is just literally by definition how many more weeks there are of winter, it's not really that bold of a prediction that he's making. So I don't know how he got so acclaimed. 50% of the options that he's presenting are just factually already happening.
So the movie Groundhog Day came out February 4th, 1993. So happy 31st anniversary to Groundhog Day. Phil gives tickets to WrestleMania to Michael Shannon and his then girlfriend. What WrestleMania did they end up seeing in 1993?
Ooh.
And how does he randomly have the hard copy? Is he a big wrestling fan that he just has these tickets on him?
Yeah. Well, Michael Shannon, get ready to head out to Las Vegas, Nevada for WrestleMania 9.
Ooh.
What's the headliner?
So WrestleMania 9, so this was famous for Yokozuna defeated Bret Hart, but then Hulk Hogan, I think, came in and defeated Yokozuna in 22 seconds.
Wow.
I don't think that was on the card. Right, Eric? Do you recall?
Yeah, it was not. It was a some sort of way to get the belt back on Hogan, some roundabout way, if I recall. But while that is a very nice gift, and at the time one I would have happily accepted, I do still question how he saves their marriage. They get married. Then the night of their wedding, they attend this date auction instead of the wedding.
Yeah,
all within this 8-hour period of time from when he, I guess, somehow saved their marriage by revealing to them that one of them was having cold feet. Which to me it seems like in the scope of that 8-hour period of time, it's more likely to have derailed the wedding than gotten it on track for that night. But it is a very happy ending that they did somehow go to the diner, get married, go to the date auction, and now get to go to the WrestleMania.
It's a crazy day. Now that you say that.
Why?
Right. Now it's a happy ending unless that they were big fans of Shawn Michaels and then they watched him lose to Tatanka at WrestleMania by way of countout.
Tatanka. I don't know Tatanka.
Happy wedding.
This was their honeymoon.
In the edit bay for this film, how the decision was made to keep in the scene with the WrestleMania, the scene where they're dressed up at the movies, these things that are total non sequiturs that clearly were a part of something that was once in this movie. But then they left whole remnants of it.
There's a huge storyline that we don't know that was clearly cut, and they left a few scenes that they happened to
the
like.
Script went through so many different revisions. If you recall from last year, we talked a lot about Danny Rubin's original script that then Harold Ramis read, and Danny Rubin's original script was like a little bit more of like a horror movie. Like it wasn't like super funny, and Harold Ramis got brought in to make it more of a family comedy. And then there was a lot of like a tug of war with Bill Murray wanted to go more with the Danny Rubin version, and then the studio was really backing Harold Ramis. And so I think that there was probably a lot of rewrites that were going back and forth between the Rubin version and then ultimately the Harold Ramis version.
That makes sense. It feels caught in between a little bit because there's definitely plenty of dark stuff. The suicide sequences, the drunk driving, Pop, of course. But then there's these like extremely irreverent and bizarre non sequiturs all throughout the movie. So it does kind of seem like they took the two things, dropped the pages, picked them up, they got it kind of mixed up, stapled it back together, and kept it.
Yeah. The bartender seems to despise everybody in Punxsutawney, right?
That's a good bartender, right? Who just like has open hostile hatred for everyone.
Just giving a lot of side eye to everybody involved with this film.
I think rightfully so.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants a sweet vermouth with a twist or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And also, isn't that every local's least favorite day of the year is the day where everyone comes to their town, right?
Yeah, but they
like,
probably
isn't that pretty...
make money.
Yes, but from what I know, like it just to me it seems like if you have a place like the Hamptons, right? Don't the Hamptons people hate the summer when everyone comes, even though maybe it's lucrative for them?
Mm-hmm.
Like
or like Times Square to a New Yorker.
Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you live in Times Square.
I think that makes sense. You know, one thing I was sort of debating as he's mastering Rita's every move and recreating it, is Phil always telling her when they're having these nice days about what's happening to him, or does sometimes he leave that out? Because when he makes the ice sculpture of her, he says like, I don't even need to like look, like I know that face from anywhere. I could, carve it from memory. But in order to understand that, he needed to have explained to her, like, I've actually seen you like every day for 40 years in this exact situation. But I would imagine there are some days he just wakes up. It's not worth the time to try to even convince her. That might take 3/4 of the day to get her on board with this premise, right?
Yeah.
We watched a movie last month where there was a Groundhog Day situation in a Hanukkah movie.
Yeah.
And a big part of that woman's like story was like getting her story straight in the morning, right? So she could convince the people quickly in the morning and then spend the rest of the day not worrying about having to convince them.
Yeah.
Bill Murray doesn't do a great job of this, honestly, in this movie, where he really should be able to have it down where he can convince Rita by like 11 a.m. what's going on.
Well, in the Hanukkah movie, she was able to like use the shorthand of just telling people she was having a Groundhog Day situation, which unfortunately Bill Murray is not able to reference there's no name for what's happening to him yet.
He blazed the path for everybody else.
Just like the fastest Jack in Jefferson County.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I wonder, is that really it wasn't at the time, but is that the legacy of this film? The fact that it introduced this mechanism that has then been used dozens of times?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was any time loop fiction prior to that. Certainly the term Groundhog Day is like used a ton. And I think that people like this probably would be a good question for our younger listeners who, and again, maybe the listeners of this podcast, say there's a 22-year-old know what a Groundhog Day is, but may not know of the existence of the 1993 film Groundhog Day. Yeah. Is the term used like, like this election again? Well, it's Groundhog Day. And they don't even know where it's from. Like Jump the Shark.
Interesting. I wonder what you would have told someone if you were stuck in a day in a time loop in like 1984.
I wish there was a term for this.
Yeah.
You have to invent it. Yeah. he never tries to leave earlier. It's like, all right, I'm up. It's 6. If I head south now, I gotta avoid the blizzard, right? Right?
The moisture's on your head. Maybe that's an interesting point. He could just set his alarm earlier just to see if that helped break it by any chance.
Yeah. He never never tries that.
Ask the desk to call up at 5:42 instead.
Mm-hmm.
Ask mom to give him a ring.
Eric, instead of doing all of the business with Punxsutawney Phil, if he just doesn't even go there, just gets in a car, drives south, finds a taxi. There's only one road in and out of Punxsutawney.
Would he still be in the time loop? Like, although the same things, I guess, wouldn't be happening to him. Let's say he successfully got out. Like, is it possible he actually makes it all the way back home, lives his day, and then is still reset back to 6 a.m.? Or do you think he escapes the town, he escapes the loop?
Even still, Akiva, if he leaves Punxsutawney at 6 a.m.,
is he allowed to wake up before 6? What if he could leave at 4:30?
I don't think he can wake up before 6.
He can't wake up. How much sleep did he get the night before? Does it depend when he went to sleep before midnight?
I think he went to bed early, so I think he's pretty well rested no matter what.
Does he always have to go to bed early, though?
He doesn't always have to go to bed early. He stays up late with her that night. They stay up till at least midnight.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder.
You should try and leave one day. I would be interesting to see him leave one day. But
I wonder if Atlanta by dinner. I think
when he's committing suicide, is he trying to break the loop, or has he just reached the point of such immense despair that because
I think it's both,
but it's sort of ineffective, right? Once he realizes it doesn't break the loop, all it actually does is restart the next day sooner. I presume. Yeah. I assume as soon as he dies, it restarts the next day. Although maybe not. Maybe the rest of the day plays out. With him dead, and then it resets. It's a little hard to know.
When he talks about all the different ways that he dies, he says, I've been I've crashed a car, I've done this. He says he got stabbed. I would like to know more about that story. Did he stab himself? I don't think if you cut yourself, I don't think that you typically would say that you stabbed yourself, right? So I feel like he had to have been in some kind of a knife fight.
Yeah, I'd like that scene in the deleted scenes.
Yeah, I would want more of a montage of stuff like that.
Who do you think did it?
Killed or something. Yeah, who are the suspects?
Yeah, there's no really, there's no hooligans that really mess with him.
Could be Pop.
Could be when he robs the bank, potentially. Yeah. Yeah,
although normally armed guards have guns and not knives. More customarily.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that he gets arrested earlier in the day. I don't know, but then I don't think there would be a weapon in the jail. It's a good question.
One thing I'm sure we discussed last year, but that threw me off, and I think it's meant to show the elapsing of time and how he's now handling his days differently. But real early on, he has this run-in with the guys at the diner who are mocking him. Yeah. And then very shortly thereafter, he's bowling with them.
Yeah.
Confusing.
Yeah. Akiva, does he end up bowling like a perfect game?
That's one of the things I would do is I would stay in Punxsutawney bowling every day until I bowled a perfect game.
Yeah. I mean, he goes bowling very early on with the guys. But then is that just like a unintellectual pursuit to be bowling? Not as exciting as ice sculpting and piano playing?
I don't think Rita would be impressed. I think there are other people who would be, but I don't think Rita's on that list because, if he could bowl 300 and show Rita, I don't know if she'd care. Whereas maybe Nancy would care about the bowling.
Do you think that maybe that's interesting, right? Maybe part of why he's spending so much time with Nancy is he's working on other things that he may use to to help lure Rita later. It's like there's a lot of ways that you can practice things when you have this unlimited time. The bowling, though, well, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I feel like you're not that far off, Akiva, from bowling to 300, right? Probably like 2-3 weeks of going every day, you'd be there.
I think I'm pretty far, but I would like to spend some time doing it. It really is, it would be important for me to go 300.
Mm-hmm.
I
There's
also
one-
wonder, like, there's a scene where he stuffs his face to the point of like nausea,
Yep.
or like nausea for the viewer because he's like stuff, he's just chewing with his mouth open. I would like the idea of a Groundhog Day where you could just eat, like, test the limits of how much you could eat,
Mhm.
with no real consequences, other than the rest of the day would probably be brutal, but you don't have to worry about it the next day. Like, what would you eat if you could eat whatever you wanted for an entire day?
Blood sausage.
I think
I
I'd
feel
try
like
everything.
the spread that he has is fairly representative of what I eat most days.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not that far off, and there are slight repercussions, but what's a few pounds amongst friends? It's fine.
Do you think I would have to keep kosher in a Groundhog Day situation, or because it doesn't count because the next day, as long as it's
I
not
think that's
the
your
last day of
call.
the Groundhog Day? But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if it's the day never counted if it doesn't finish.
That would be interesting. Also, if it was different days of the week, you
Yeah.
might have different rules you have to live by forever.
I don't think it counts. I mean, is Phil like a murderer? Like
That's a good question. I mean, he
did Phil
commits
commit the
murder.
crimes that he?
I think he did because, like, he doesn't know that it's not the last day, right? He's risking it every day that it's not the last day of the Groundhog Day.
You know what I thought was really weird? He asked Rita at what point, like, basically, what would you do if you were just like had one day? And she's like, "What are you looking for a date this weekend?" Can't he just ask a question? Like, why is she so quick to assume that that's where this is going?
Yeah. Sometimes like they play her off as like, oh, she's such an easygoing person. She's such a beautiful soul. But then other times she lives like a little bit like persnickety.
Yeah, she's persnickety.
A little bit. A little bit.
Speaking of persnickety,
Yes.
I would like to relitigate something that came up last year. I did do a little research yesterday.
Yep.
I checked in on the 4 major local New York channels to check out their news schedules.
Yes.
Okay.
Just was curious because I actually couldn't remember what our stances were.
Yes.
I knew that there was a little bit of a breakdown amongst us over 5 a.m., 10 a.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. I honestly couldn't remember who was arguing what or so forth, but I went to check. And as it so turns out, pretty much it's across the board different at all of these places. But ABC 7 in New York has a 5 a.m. news, has a 10 a.m. news, has a 5 p.m., but no 10 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Fox 5 has a 5 a.m. also. And I do believe this was a point of contention last year if they have 5 a.m.s, but does not have a 10 a.m., does have a 5 and 10 p.m. NBC also has a 5 a.m., has a 5 p.m., no 10s, and same with CBS. Has the 5 and the 5, no 10s. So although I wanted to redebate this, I don't actually have a point. Furthermore, that is inconclusive evidence that seems to actually just argue all sides of it.
Yeah.
But I did want to get your thoughts on it.
I think Akiva was saying that when he says I could be back, don't worry, I'll be back for the 5 o'clock news. I think Akiva was trying to say that he was going to be back for the 5 a.m. news.
I was an AM boy, and you guys thought I was insane. There is an AM crew out there. Some listeners agreed with me, and some probably called me stupid.
seems like
I don't think anybody was saying that there's not a 5 a.m. news. It would be wild that how could he come back for 5 a.m. news? Why?
Well, he's maybe afraid someone's going to take a spot. You miss a day, you get
That's not a good spot.
Well, it's a job.
You would clamor for somebody to take that. He's leaving.
It's his
He's
job.
trying to go
It's all
to
he's got.
He's talking to other networks.
You say it's his job, it's all he's got, right? And he seems to want to leave or go to a better network. But then when he's gaslighting Nancy into thinking that they went to school together, he says, I'm a weatherman now. And she says, I should have known. And then she's super interested in him.
Yeah.
So is it a desirable job or is it not?
Yeah, I think so. No, I think so. He's on TV. He's in the media. This is a good job.
Yeah. All right. So maybe he needs
ego,
to get
like
back there
he's
and
a big
protect it for all it's worth.
He's a big fish in a small pond, I think.
Okay. Let me see what else do I have from my notes.
I had
Did
something
it
I didn't
snow
like.
overnight?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Did it snow overnight?
I think so. I
Mhm.
think he looked outside and it's snowing.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like well, they got a lot of snowfall overnight.
It's Punxsutawney in February, you know? You got to watch out.
Yeah.
One thing that bothered me, but I must have told this story last year, is how the psychologist tells him, "Come back to me tomorrow."
Yes.
Very aggravating. And I had a very similar experience once. But I'm just going to take a bet right now that I told this story last year and not retell it.
Well, why
But
don't you remind us? Because we have new
Remind.
listeners. I mean,
It's
this
been a
podcast
long
is always
time.
growing.
All right.
Mhm.
I when I was 13 years old, had a chicken stuck in my food pipe, not
Okay.
my windpipe. So I could breathe, I could not swallow.
Yeah.
And when I went to the doctor, and then several subsequent doctors, I said, "I cannot swallow." And they'd say, "Here, drink this water from me and show me." And I would say, "My guy, I just told you, I can't swallow. I cannot drink this water for you and show you. It will get stuck. Just have some water, okay?" Take the water, stuck right in my throat, right back out of my mouth. Can't go anywhere. And it's very similar to saying, "Come back tomorrow." Here, your patient is telling you, "I cannot come back to you tomorrow because I am stuck in today." And I was telling them, "I cannot swallow." And they kept telling me, "Show me by swallowing."
Akiva, you ever have deja vu?
Why? You think you've heard that story before?
Yeah.
I was explaining deja vu to my son last night when I
Yes.
was watching this movie and he came in.
Yes. Did he get it?
I don't think so. I don't think he totally got it. They were enjoying the movie. But well, my wife hates anytime she comes. She caught me watching this movie. She's like, "You're watching it for an 8th time?" I was like,
Wow,
"That's
what a good
counting."
memory.
Yeah, good counting, first of all.
Yeah.
And then second of all, like I forgot how much she dislikes this movie. She's wrong.
Why does she hate the movie? Because it's associated with the podcast?
I don't think so. I think it was just
I
never
think
her
that's what
favorite
my
movie.
wife, if I told her that this
Right.
was happening today,
Mhm.
I think she would be angry.
I should say I hate that movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird that she hates it so much. But
Yeah. I would like to show this to my kids, but I don't know that. I mean, he does like
here's what I
take
think
his
you
own
do. I was
life a
thinking about
couple
this.
times. Yeah.
I think you have to fast forward the suicide scenes. You don't want to give the kids any ideas for like insane. Not that they would jump off a building, but like
Mhm.
still. But I think you fast forward those 3 or 4 scenes, and the rest of the movie's fine.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe they'll start going around like calling your wife hairdo.
Hairdo.
But other than that,
Or
do you think
tell her, "Gosh, you're an
weathermen?
upbeat lady."
Mhm.
Do you think weathermen in particular love this movie? Do you think they get together at their like like weatherman conventions and they watch this movie? Is this like the #1 weatherman movie of all time?
I don't know. I doubt it. When I was going through the Wikipedia really ascribes a lot of things to Groundhog Day.
Mhm.
They say that basically it paved the way for Bill Murray to do a lot more serious roles. It also changed some of the other things that ushered in like an era of sci-fi pop culture movies, like or
Mhm.
sci-fi comedies.
I don't think he acts particularly well in this. If anything, it feels like it's not even a character. It just feels like it's just him improving, like walking around just being an ass. Like I'm
Mhm.
not like, while he is convincing in that role, it definitely gives off the vibes of like playing himself. I don't think this was really like a strong character choice per se.
Okay. And we never got to see the musical of Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah, we got to do that.
And we never
Is it
got
still
to play.
playing?
I'm not sure. And we never got to play Groundhog Day like father, like son on the Oculus Rift.
Is that something
Akiva,
we were supposed to do? I don't know.
Akiva, are you going to get the new Apple Vision Pro?
What is it? Tell me about it. I don't know about it.
Yeah, it's like the headset.
If I hear good reviews and it's good, maybe I'll get it.
Mhm.
I really don't know. I'm not like a first adapter to tech these days. I'm like a follower if something's good. I'm not jumping on everything because then I'd have like Google Glass and all these things, and it would be useless.
Okay. All right. Should we bring up the Sporkle quiz? I feel like every year we should take a quiz.
Sure.
And
As you
see-
get up the Sporkle quiz, just a couple things I noticed. The editor of this film, Pembroke J. Herring. What a name! That's an
Mhm.
all-time name, Pembroke Herring.
Sounds rich.
Also, yeah, he does sound rich, right? And when Phil recognizes Bill Murray for the first time, and he sort of like Bill Murray starts like walking away and says like thanks for watching. I think Rob should do that if he ever gets recognized on the street. Just like an immediate thanks for listening and keep walking.
Mhm. All right.
Such
It
an
happens
arrogant
to
move.
me a bunch.
I was
Yeah.
envisioning what Rob would do if he, in present day, with his current life, got stuck in this situation. And I sort of just landed on like, just keep podcasting.
I would love it.
Would you cancel your podcast that day, Rob? Because all you have to do is cancel one day of podcast. You could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah, I think it probably could. Like, I think sometimes I would do them. I mean, I think that he does like ultimately do such a great newscast that people are like are crying.
Oh, so you
You-
think you tried to do the perfect podcast?
The
Yeah.
perfect podcast. That's what he's been.
Do you
trying
think
for.
you've ever come close, or what, without even just gut checking yourself?
What do you think we're doing
What
right
comes
now,
to
Eric? This is the
mind
perfect
when we say,
podcast.
"Have you ever done it?" Is there one that immediately goes
No.
to your head?
One does not come to mind.
Could be this.
Could
Could
be
be.
this.
Well,
Okay.
let's see how well we do
All
on
right.
the Sporkle quiz.
Groundhog Day trivia. Can you name the trivia from the movie Groundhog Day? Okay. This is going to give us 6 minutes on the clock.
Let's
Okay.
see how we do.
All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Let's start the quiz now. All right. The time Phil wakes up
6
is
a.m. baby.
6 a.m.
6. The actor who plays Phil.
Bill Murray.
Okay. Phil's profession is.
I mean, come on, guys.
You're gonna need to do a
Yes.
little better than this.
We might sweep it. Okay. Weatherman. The song that plays when Phil wakes up is I Got You, Babe. The town where Phil is stuck.
Well, this is a tough one. You're gonna have to spell Punxsutawney.
Okay. Punks Punxsutawney.
That looks good.
It's
Let's try
Punx.
this. I got rid of. Okay, they gave it to me. It's Punxsutawney. Phil's news producer. Thank God we watched it. Is Rita,
Yeah, tough one.
portrayed by what is her name?
Andy McDowell.
Yeah,
Andy. Is it Andy?
I-E.
I.E.
A-N-D-I-E. It's like she's the only person spelling it that way.
McDowell.
Yeah.
Okay.
McDowell.
The nerd who knows Phil from school is Ned,
Ned.
portrayed by Stephen
Tobolowsky.
Tobolowsky.
I think you got an extra W in there.
Okay, it's Tobolowsky.
Yeah, I think so.
I think maybe just
Not taking it.
Tobolowsky,
Wait, Google
like
is
no vowel.
Google can read
Yeah.
names.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to it.
Uh-oh.
Phil's cameraman is Chris Elliott, or okay.
Larry.
Is Larry, portrayed by Chris Elliott. Okay. The top groundhog official is who?
Oh no,
Okay, a mayor?
the mayor, I think.
No. Okay. Brian Doyle Murray, right? I thought he was also on the radio, but that is not Brian Doyle Murray. The girl that Phil claims he went to school with is named Nancy.
Nancy.
The park where the Groundhog Day festivities are. Is it Gobbler's Knob?
It's gotta be.
Better be. Gobbler's Knob? No.
I think it's 2 B's. 2 B's and Gobbler.
Okay. Gobbler's Knob. Yes.
There
The
we go.
instrument that Phil learns is piano. The fine art that Phil learns is what?
Ice
Ice
carving?
sculpting?
Ice sculpting.
That's a fine art.
There's no finer art, Rob.
What Rita studied in college, French poetry.
What? I can't believe her pay. She went into
The
debt.
wretch.
Got student loans. for her.
Wretch. What is Ned selling? Insurance.
Mhm.
Okay. Or what is Ned selling? The answer is insurance. What is one of Ned's nickname? Needle Nose Ned?
Needle nose Ned.
The
Ned the head.
explanation that Ned frequently uses is
That's a doozy.
Ding.
Oh, okay.
Don't forget your booties.
Because it's cold out there.
Yeah. Name one of the ways Phil is killed. Stabbed.
Listening to this podcast.
I always drink to blank.
There we go. World peace.
Wow, this is a quiz for the podcast too. All right, then. Well, it's Groundhog's Day. ... I don't know what they want.
I don't even know what that's alluding to.
What does that mean? Well, it's Groundhog Day. Is it on the radio? What does he say? It's like the next thing the radio.
Well,
guy
it's
says.
Groundhog Day. B words.
Rise and shine, or
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine. No.
Can you call up the movie quickly?
well, it's Groundhog Day.
Well, you wanna cheat?
losers.
I think if you watch the movie during the 6 minutes, then it's fair.
Okay, hold on. Can we get a spelling of Stephen Tobolowsky?
There's a Y at the end. It's a Y, not
Okay.
an I.
Sky.
Yeah.
Okay. The top.
We're not
Groundhog-
going to get the name of the mayor, though. I don't know his name. Mayor
Yeah.
John. Should we just pick common names? Mayor Smith,
John?
Johnson,
Davis.
I actually
Nick?
feel
Stein.
tense and mortified that we're not going to get a perfect score.
Well, this is a hard
Well,
question.
it's Groundhog Day. ... What are they? I don't even know what they're asking for.
What are they asking? The only thing I'm thinking is that it's what the guy on the radio says, but I can't. Maybe.
Again? Yes.
Ah, there you go. Boom, you got
Okay.
it.
Genius.
The top Groundhog official, played
Well,
by
what could it
Brian
be?
Doyle Murray, is named.
I think if we had 10 hours, we wouldn't get it.
Well, if he's not the mayor, what would he be? The union leader? The
Yeah.
inner circle?
Inner Circle.
He's in that VIP club.
Yeah. VIP.
The town pontificator?
Who knows this?
Yeah, nobody gets this. I guarantee when they show you the stats on Sporkle, it's like, Bill Murray was gotten by 100% of people. This is going to be getting by like 4.3.
4.3?
I think we should give up.
under. Okay. All right. We give up. It was Buster Green.
Buster Green. We've watched this movie 8 times.
Never heard that
That's
name
made
in my
up.
life.
That's made up.
If we had the rest of our lives, to get it, and we'd be stuck in a ground, I think, till we get out, we would not have.
Well,
Right.
by Rob's theory, though, we should get incrementally closer and closer.
Every year, get better. We take this quiz next year.
Okay,
It's 26
can we make a pact, the three of us,
Yes.
to remember the name Buster Green for next year? Like, Eric, if you could just DM me every couple months or like tweet at us, Buster Green.
Buster.
I think we need what's
Green.
that called? Like a
Tobolowsky
mnemonic
spelled with a
device.
Y.
That's what
Yeah.
we need.
All right,
Something
fine.
to
Let's do a
Brian
mnemonic
Doyle
device.
Murray, Buster Green.
Okay, so Buster, B is for.
We're gonna do an acronym.
Yeah, we got to do an acronym here for a mnemonic device.
Let's see. Let me like
He is
Buster
for Bill
Douglas.
Murray.
Buster
Yeah, maybe we
Douglas
could do
beat
a
Mike
whole- yeah.
Tyson.
an acrostic poem
Mhm.
with all
Buster
of
Douglas-
Buster Green relating to the film.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I also thought that we should incorporate one thing from ChatGPT. Can you write a beautiful short poem about the film Groundhog Day?
Mhm.
And
Should it be in French style? Should it be a French poem?
I don't know. Maybe in the style of French poetry, it might get long. And 3 great guys who watch the film and podcast about it every year.
Mhm.
There should be some influence from French poetry.
Some.
Okay, not too much. We don't want to lose our listeners. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, I
Some
know.
influence. Eric, how many cups do you have at your? You have a cabinet full of cups and thermoses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
There's
meant
a lot.
to take a picture of our cup cabinet because it's.
I posted mine.
I do not have a Stanley. I do have just several other miscellaneous ones, but I found myself taking some glee into the lead reveal. I did find that funny. I don't know why.
You had some catharsis from that.
By my personality, I guess it's Schadenfreude. But yeah, I thought it was a funny twist in the road from everyone's obsession to now being poisoned.
Yeah, that's a real, what you call that, a milkshake duck?
Yeah,
Akiva?
they got milkshake ducked a little bit. Like everyone loves the Stanley Cup. 5 seconds later, we regret to inform you that.
You know, I don't know. I think I don't know if maybe this could be like one of the competitors leaked that study also.
That's honestly not bad. Like if we had if there was like a rival, bottle company, and you just say, hey, like they have lead in them, right? Everyone's gonna believe it. Nobody actually is testing for lead. Just start that rumor. It's over for the Stanley people.
Okay. I'm just tweaking this poem a little bit. Okay. It's got a little hoity-toity.
By the way, I don't know if we mentioned this last year. Nancy was on Seinfeld.
Yeah, I think
she
did.
is.
You ever have deja vu, Eric?
Why? We talked about this last year?
I'm sure
I would wager we didn't have a single original thought in this entire time.
I think everything we came up here, I'm like upset that last year we never even mentioned. I think we crushed it.
Yeah.
What do you know who she played on Seinfeld?
She's got to be one of the girlfriends, right?
Yeah, of course, but who?
Remind me.
She is the one that had Jerry's girlfriend who had previously dated Newman. So Jerry's like appalled, and then it turns out Newman broke up with her. So he can't bring himself to kiss her without thinking about Newman.
Okay. In a dance of time where winter whispers low, 3 friends reunite as shadows grow. Beneath Punxsutawney's sky, they find their place in the loop of Groundhog Day, time's gentle embrace. Phil's journey through endless dawn and dusk, in their words, a poetic husk. With each viewing like snowflakes new, finding joy in the old as if it were new. In this ritual, under a small town's light, they find in repetition a world so bright, a groundhog's quest, a man's rebirth. In their podcast, a celebration of mirth.
Third place in Punxsutawney's Got Talent.
Bing! That's what I used Bing to make that up. Okay. Eric, anything else for you?
No. I thought about it.
So what you got?
I thought about it, but I did want to just mention briefly, unrelated to the film, but I like to hold these things in, because I'm not talking to people on a regular basis, and I did want to share with you, Akiva, that I did also have a bird in the house on Christmas.
Oh.
Yes, you posted in Facebook. You said that there was a bird in the house, and you never felt more alive.
I was sitting there. I was at my in-laws. And then next thing I know, bouncing off the walls, hitting into fans. I had my wife's 90-year-old grandfather. He's moving furniture. There's people on the grounds. They have flashlights. For some reason, in my mind, I didn't want the bird to get hurt. And it was just flying around the living room. So my gut instinct was to put on gloves. I have no idea why. It was way too fast to catch by hands. I was never going to catch it. I don't know why I needed the gloves, but that was what I did.
What kind of gloves? Like exam gloves?
Well, that's the thing. They weren't really appropriate. They were not. They were like like some. I
almost feel like a catcher's glove. Mitt would be the better way to go.
That would have been nice, or a lacrosse stick, maybe. Something with a net, potentially. But I put on those cheap disposable gloves. May as well have just put on my winter gloves at that point. I'm scurrying around, opening doors, opening windows. We did get it out of the house, and I realized I must just be lacking day-to-day excitement, because for me, it was a thrill. It was just woo-wee. One moment I'm celebrating a holiday, and the next, the world of endless possibilities are upon me. And then it left, and I sat back down on the couch. And that is the only thing that has happened to me in the last year since last speaking with you both.
Wow. I never, there's no follow-up to my bird story. I don't know what happened. We closed the bird tunnel.
Yeah.
And I have not been up in the attic since. So maybe there's 10 birds. Maybe there's dead birds. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. Maybe they flew out.
I think if there was 10 birds, you'd hear them.
Well, at this point, if they're trapped, they'd probably, no longer be with us.
Yeah,
But I think so. But I was hearing
Yeah.
birds. I was hearing birds, and a bird did poop out of the hole before my wife made the tunnel.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'd be interested. I'd be curious to see what's going on up there.
Should we go up? Should I take you guys upstairs right now?
What,
I
you gonna
think
go
you should probably put it on the wheel.
Yeah.
A deep dive exploration.
I'll be honest. Can I listen? I like you guys. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I've never been up in the attic. Only my wife has gone up.
Are you afraid?
I'm not afraid. First of all, I don't love.
What
I
about
don't
this
love
as an idea
ladders.
for the wheel? And maybe I don't think we could do it live, but what if we got you one of those a GoPro type
Mhm.
helmet cam, and you went up into the attic and then narrated, and then the episode was that we would watch your helmet
Mhm.
footage.
My
I would
helmet
say
footage.
it's probably like Blair Witch at that point because he's probably gone.
I might get
We're
attacked by
trying
a
to
lot of
piece it
birds when we
together.
open
We have
it
Mike
up.
Bloom on to improv the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
trying to piece it together about what happened.
It's very high up, and I don't love it's a ladder over a staircase. It makes me a little queasy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, please be careful, Uncle Kiwi. We've got Groundhog Day
Guys doing what he
2025 to
loves.
prep for.
Climbing into an attic to see some birds.
All right. All right, Akiva, let's just do some housekeeping. So
Mhm.
this is it. This is RHAP for this week. Okay. The
Yeah.
good news is non-canonical. All right. So you bought yourself another week, RHAP. Okay. Episode 250 next week when we come back, and we're doing the Wild Hogs, Eric.
We're the Wild Hogs.
I've been speculating in my mind who your fellow hogs are going to be.
Yeah,
I feel like
We're
I
gonna go
have
hog wild.
one.
Are you here to campaign for one of the hogs?
I don't feel as wild as I once did. Pretty hog-like. Not that wild. I think you could do better, honestly. I'm going to write them down on a napkin, and I'll let you guys know if I was right.
Yeah. I think you're going to be right. Okay. So that's coming next week. RHAP 250 Wild Hogs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Akiva, have you figured out which one of the hogs you are?
Oh, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'll only be able to answer that afterwards.
Okay.
I feel like
All
you're
right.
Tim Allen because you could do the Tim Allen voices.
No, but maybe I'm Travolta.
Oh, you might be Travolta.
Maybe I'm Martin Lawrence.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Is this even a real movie?
Maybe I'm William H. Macy.
This is not ringing a bell.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what's coming up next week. Eric, what's coming up for you?
Well, on February 2nd of 2025,
You have some big
Mhm.
I have a project coming up.
Be on the lookout. Yes.
Other than that, I think I maybe last tweeted about 6 months ago, so you can
Yes.
check that out.
Yes.
you're
You had some thoughts
interested
about
in-
the Traders recently.
The Traders, yes, I have been watching. I did enjoy, I will say, Big Brother Reindeer games as well.
Yes.
So both the Traders and Reindeer games have me wondering if it may be time to come out of retirement potentially.
Mhm.
I was very much not interested in playing one of these odious games for 100 days, but for 5 days,
Yes.
that is a little more appealing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good sweet spot.
But my playing them is not appealing to the people who make them. So I think I'm really only coming out of retirement in my mind. But
Right. You're like
in a
Cam Newton.
theoretical
of, like,
world in which
you're
I was
ready to
welcome
get back
play
out
those games,
there.
I might. Yeah.
Yeah. You just need one of these teams to come a calling.
Maybe someone will see this and they'll realize what entertainment they're passing up.
Maybe there's a new show, Groundhog Games. Eric, you could or be the change you want to see in the world. Maybe you could be developing Groundhog Games.
If I work every single day at it between now and next year, I might perfect it.
Yep. Okay. And then Uncle Kiwi, what's coming up for you?
So, by the way, Eric, so your sort of action item for next year is get us the IP for Groundhog Day.
Oh, I already forgot the name I'm supposed to remember.
Buster Green.
Buster Green. Just people, if people could tweet once a month on every second of every month at Eric the name Buster Green, it will be very helpful for us. And just Buster Green, and that's it. What's going on? We've got 32 fans. We did the conference championship wrap up. Talked about were the Lions wrong to not kick those field goals, and the Chiefs and Taylor Swift and the Super Bowl and all things like that.
I haven't listened to that one yet.
Yeah, it's out. NGOG. This has never happened to me before. I was recording with Allie. I don't know if you can tell. I'm a little under the weather.
No, I could not tell.
But I was in such bad shape that halfway through I had to I started uncontrolled, I was shivering, and I had to call the podcast. So we're only halfway done recording.
Oh wow!
NGOG. Yeah, I had to call it in the middle of the podcast.
Oh my god! All right. Well,
I couldn't even hold the mic.
You're feeling better.
It was happened as we paused, so I don't think it was any good footage on camera. I don't think you'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
Do you ever pronounce that Ngog, or is it always NGOG?
I think we used the Ngog. I think we would say it yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Akiva, hope you're feeling better. Last week, that one of my kids tested positive for COVID. My kids were home from school all week last week. And it was terrible.
It's bad, yeah. I didn't test myself for COVID, but maybe I have.
I do actually. That does remind me of something. I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you guys. Why didn't either one of you tell me how difficult it is to have children before I had them?
Well, misery loves company. You ever hear about that? It's we tricked you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is tricky. Yeah.
Well, one day, you'll be old and they'll be able to take care of you. So it's
that day is now. I'm old, but they're not caring for me.
Yeah. Well,
not yet. Not yet.
You didn't get married when you were 20 like I did,
forward.
Eric, I have a kid who drives.
Could they be of service to me in any way?
Yeah, honestly, yes. Anytime any of my friends see Ella, my oldest, they're like, can we rent her or something? Could you move in with us or something?
Wow. All right. Well, happy Groundhog Day to all those who observe. And then we'll be back next year to talk about Groundhog Day again. Take care, everybody. And is there a good Groundhog Day sign off?
Should we sing the Pennsylvania polka? The Pennsylvania polka.
I hate the clouds that open the movie and then they close the movie on the clouds. That has nothing to do with Groundhog Day at all.
Maybe that was in the thing that was cut off,
maybe
storyline.
Maybe I guess loosely, I guess it's weather. It's weather. It's clouds. That he studies the weather, so he's a weatherman. All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.